Hello and welcome. My name is Jim Lark. I'll be your host today. Throughout the presentation, welcome to Ironstone's Concours d'Elegance for 2024. There are some magnificent cars out here today. We'll be interviewing some of the owners of those cars, the owner of Ironstone, Gail Kautz, and then at the end of the program, you'll see the best in class driving across the stage, seeing all of those beautiful cars. So thank you for coming, welcome, and let's get started. We're here with Gail Kautz, owner of Ironstone Winery, and she was kind enough to spend a little bit of time with us. Tell us a little bit about the winery and what's so special about this year's concours.
Well, among other things, this year's concours is the 28th annual, so we've been doing it for 28 years, and I tell everybody I started when I was 2 years old. We're very proud we do this for agricultural youth education, primarily 4-H and FFA, and over the years we've raised well over $1 million, so we are very happy about that.
That's amazing. So tell us a little bit about where did the name come from, the Ironstone?
That's a good question. We had a focus group that I guess was the way that we came up with the name, and it reflects the iron and the stone of this area.
Interesting.
Yes, no, they discovered a lot of what they called ironstone when they were making the caves. That was, I guess, how it came to be.
Nice. And through the years, I'm sure you've seen some amazing automobiles here. Can you tell us a little bit, maybe a couple of your favorites?
That's like asking, what is my favorite person? I don't know. I prefer the ancient cars, but there are some beautiful modern cars too. So I would really not want to answer that question. I like them all.
You like them all. Okay. Well, Gail, anything else that you want to add?
Yes, everybody is invited to come. Next year's concours will be September 28th. It's always the fourth Saturday of September, and now we're planning on having another bang-up event. So everybody come and support these wonderful kids. You'll not only see amazing cars, but you'll see some amazing young people that are doing a great job. So come down and support them. Thank you.
We're here with Jim Kocher, and he has a 1969 Lotus Series 3 Roadster, and he's going to tell us a little bit about it.
Yes, this car has been raced extensively in Europe and also in the United States. It's a 1600 cross-flow twin Weber carburetors, and the car was in very bad shape when I bought it 8 years ago, and I've gone through and rebuilt the whole car. So I'm very proud of it, and it's a lot of fun to drive. Weighs about 1,100 pounds, 140 or 50 horsepower at the rear wheels. So it's pretty quick, and corners like a little go-kart. So it's a fun car. I've enjoyed it a lot.
And tell us a little bit about its European history.
It's been extensively raced in Europe and also in the United States. It did the Monte Carlo rallies in 2000 and 2001. It was raced on some of the great racetracks in Europe, and I've also raced it here in the United States. I've raced it in the Midwest and the West Coast. The previous owner raced it in the East and the Southwest.
And just a couple things, what makes this car special?
It's number 57 of the last run of 300 of these cars that still maintain the Lotus brand. 1969 and 1970, they were no longer Lotuses; they became Caterhams. So this is the last year of the British Lotus brand name.
All right, Jim, thank you very much, and beautiful car.
Thank you very much.
All right, have a great day. We are here with Buzz with a beautiful 1963 Jaguar E-Type, and Buzz, tell us a little bit about this car.
This car was born in 1963, about 6 months after I was, and beyond that, it was owned by my grandfather. He bought it brand new in 1963 and sold it in 1988 when I was in my 20s with no money, so to speak, and no way to even know that it was for sale. But it was a used car to him. He was aging, and it went to a bunch of collectors, unbeknownst to us. And 35 years later, last year on my birthday, it shows up in an email from Bring a Trailer. And so I clicked through, and it wasn't until 200 pictures deep I realized what car I was looking at.
That's amazing.
And so I had to have it.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about it and what makes it unique.
First of all, it's a 1963. It has a 3.8 liter 6-cylinder engine. It is, I would tell you, almost all original, call it preserved, and most of the paint on it is original. It has 29,900 original miles, all documented. This car has been to Europe and served as an example for restoration characteristics by an E-type restorer back there.
Nice.
So it's got some really unique features to it, and you'll also notice some of the originality with the VIN number up on the frame. They tend to rust out just where the numbers have been stamped. Again, you'll know it's original from that. More originality, a dynamo rather than a generator. More originality, the original radiator tank from when it was born. It's never been replaced, and it runs cool.
It's amazing. The other thing I noticed is in the boot, not the trunk, in the boot it looks like you have all of the original tools to the car.
That's correct. All the original tools. The toolkit has never been disassembled. It's never had a tool replaced. The original owner's manual is back there with my grandfather's name written on it. And we even have the family company at the time's logo back there, Linco Engineering, which has morphed into a different animal today, but it's still around.
Wow. Well, Buzz, thank you so much. Beautiful E-Type, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you, sir. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it.
All right. All right, I'm here with Ron Murphy with a beautiful 1970 Barracuda. And Ron, tell us a little about it.
It's the second Hemi Cuda ever made. It was built in August of 1969 before they started production. So they kind of call them like a pilot car. This car was used as the press preview car. So it was in Hot Rod Magazine, Motor Trend, Superstock Magazine in 1969. If you look up that car, you'll see it. Some videos of it racing down the drag strip in 1969. It has some very unique features that you won't find on other cars. The VIN number, first of all, is it's number 10, so it was the 10th car that went down the line. The second Hemi in the registry. It has the tail panel is silver, the hockey stripe is extended. It has the original leather seats in it. It has 2,500 original miles on it. It's how you see it right now is exactly how this car came off the production line. I purchased the car last year at an auction, Haggerty Auction in Monterey, and I haven't driven it on the road since. I trailer it everywhere it goes, but because it's too beautiful to drive on the road. If you look at the motor in different spots, there's the markings where they're supposed to be, just like off the factory. The bottom of this car looks just like you see the top, so it's a very special car.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for your time. Gorgeous car.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'm here with Paul today, and we have a beautiful 1942 Willys. This is a Shore Patrol version. Normally you see the dark green or the military green from the Army, but this one's a little bit unique. So why don't you tell us about it?
Well, I purchased this Jeep in 2000. It was a retirement project for me, and I researched it for over a year, finding out the history of the Jeep. And I learned that the man that I bought it from, he and his father bought this Jeep at surplus in World War II, after World War II, 1946. And they used it on an apple ranch locally here in Soulsville.
Interesting.
Yeah. So his family put the Jeep in it was an estate sale. He was my age now. When he sold it, and he didn't have any use for it. And so I'm in the third owner. Uncle Sam owned it first, and then he owned it, and now I own it.
Now you own it. All right.
I began restoration on the Jeep about a year later after I bought it, and it was an army green, And as I worked on the Jeep to restore it, I learned that it was gray. And I went to Port Hueneme and talked to the curator of the museum there. And if you know where Port Hueneme is, it's south of Santa Barbara. And we learned that it had been on the base as a shore patrol Jeep. It had been assigned to the 63rd Construction Battalion, and they went to Guadalcanal, and the Jeep remained on the base and used as a shore patrol Jeep. Yeah. It took me about a year and a half to do the restoration. I did it in my garage.
That's gorgeous.
And I've had a lot of fun with it. It's a slat grill, which they made 22,500 of them. And most of them went to Czechoslovakia and Russia prior to us getting in the war.
Yep.
And they were allies. That's kind of the history of it. It was a real fun project. I had never done anything like that. I did a lot of time researching it and figuring it out. And the interesting part about this Jeep is that it's a Willys Jeep, but it was assigned to, or Ford actually put it together. So I learned that all of the running gear was Ford, but the body was a Willys, you know. And that's what they did at the beginning of World War II. They just, whatever they could get, you know.
Cobbled together.
And they were in demand. And so that's a little bit of the history of it.
And I think you told me earlier that it's a daily driver for you too.
Yeah, we use it around town here in Murphy's. It's kind of fun. Gets a lot of attention.
Well, Paul, I want to thank you, and it was a pleasure.
Well, thank you for the interview.
My pleasure. All right, have a great day. Thank you.
You.
I'm here with John with a 1926 Monotrace, and tell us a little bit about it, John.
Yes, I purchased this 1926 Monotrace from the Mullen collection down in Southern California. He passed away, and he had one of the rarest collection of French-made vehicles. And we had an auction with 100 cars, and I bid on this. I thought it was extremely unique, and preservation is just amazing on this vehicle. How original it is and unrestored and unmolested completely.
And you were telling me something a little earlier. How many of these actually exist?
This is the only one in the United States, and then there's 3 in Europe that are survivors. One's at the Schlump Museum, which this car came from the Schlump Museum to the United States in 2008.
And I noticed there's some outrigger wheels. Tell me a little more about those.
So it's a 3-speed on the floor. Once you're in first gear going, just before you hit second, you hit a lever and the wheels retract up into the side of the vehicle to be able to steer it and drive it. But it doesn't like to turn with the wheels down.
Yeah.
We found that out, and it was a big learning curve trying to drive it, especially being a motorcycle guy.
Yeah.
You had to learn how to drive it. It's pretty unique.
So tell me a little bit more about it, something unique that maybe you haven't told me yet.
I showed you a couple pictures, and these guys used to race them in rally, believe it or not, run these things around, and they show them dirt hills, climbing hills, pretty unique. But the idea of this car was built in Germany initially, and they built them as a single-track automobile. That's what Monotrace means, single-track. And then they sold the rights to France. And a gentleman named Morgan, not related to the other automobile, 3-wheel Morgans, he got these and started building them by hand individually in France till 1928.
Very nice.
And there hardly any of them were built or are survivors basically after World War II.
Got it. Well, John, thank you so much. Mm-hmm. I am here with Matt he is the curator of the Singleton collection down in Costa Mesa, and they brought a beautiful 1914 Mercer. And tell us a little bit about it, Matt.
Sure, yeah, this is a 1914 Mercer 35J Raceabout. We acquired this car about a year ago. Before that, the car was in the same family from 1971 until last year. So these raceabouts are pretty rare. They are often considered America's first sports car. They were engineered to perform well instead of just making an engine bigger and bigger. It was actually the first engineered car for performance in America. So when these come up for sale, it's pretty seldom. So it's something when you find a real one, you have to go after it. In 1939, this was owned by the Saucony Vacuum Oil Company. It was used as a promotional car, and after that, it was collected by James Melton, who was one of the pioneering classic car collectors in the United States. He was also a famous opera singer.
Amazing. And approximately how many of these are there around?
So they made this model from 1911 until 1914. It's the T-head engine. There's a handful of them. Every one is a little unique at this point. There's less than 25 authentic from 1911 to 14.
All right, Matt, thank you so much. Appreciate it. I'm here with Jim, who is the chief judge here at the 28th Annual Concours d'Elegance at Ironstone. And Jim, tell us a little bit about what you do, some of the criteria around judging the cars.
Well, as chief judge, I'm responsible for arranging for all the judges. And this year we had 70 judges on the field to judge all the cars, 2 to 3 judges per class. And the judging that we use is much like the old original French judging in the 1920s and 30s in Europe, where it's more the elegance of the car in its class. We don't judge personal parts of the car like trunk and glove box and so forth. We don't judge every nut and bolt. We leave that to the Pebble Beach type concours or individual class shows. And so the judging is a little more casual. And because of that, what we get is a lot of cars that maybe not, of course, wouldn't be on the field at Pebble Beach, but are quite good quality cars. And as you've seen, you've been out on the field, there's a lot of unique stuff.
Yes, there are.
So,
and also from what you were telling me, a lot of the cars out here, a lot of them are daily drivers.
Yes, quite a few of them are, maybe not daily, but occasional use.
Yeah, just not garage queens.
Well, to a certain extent, yes. They're probably stored in garage and kept up, but not a pristine nut and bolt restoration. Right. So
still magnificent. And I'm not going to ask you about this year, but in years past, what are some of the cars some of your favorites?
Oh, well, I'm kind of partial to unrestored cars. And so in the past, we had a 1906 Knox, unrestored, bought by a great-grandfather, still owned in the same family. Well, yeah, running, drivable, barely. But and we've had, I think it was a 1910 I don't remember the make, that was also unrestored and brought here by a great-grandson of the original owner. And so some of that kind of thing. On the field today, that 41 CAD out there that has the sign in front of it that Ted Raines owned. And the current owner worked on that car and drove it when he was 16.
No kidding.
And then Ted bought it and had it for many years, and Jeff was able to buy it back.
Wow, no kidding.
So that's kind of a unique story. And that's one of the things we like about this Concours. The cars, a lot of them have a very unique story with them, and that's always fun.
Absolutely. Well, Jim, thank you so much, and we'll see you out there. Appreciate it. Thank you.
There is a parade of excellence that is coming down the hill, and we'll go across the stage here. A special word about this facility. The Couts family had this envisioned as a concert venue. They attended the Pebble Beach Concours one year and saw how the cars came up across the dais there, and went back to their architect and had the not only the stage but the tiers completely redesigned so that cars could indeed drive right across the stage, and the tiers sized so that cars could park on the grass and would have space to travel along the paved sections. So a dual purpose facility that is pretty unique in the car world. Absolutely fantastic, and thank them so much for allowing us to put on this show here. And I see our first winners approaching. And the very first car to come across the block here is a 1906 Autocar Type X Runabout, owned by Norman and Audra Schwartz from Lafayette in our Class A Antique. A very interesting note about this car: the Autocar is the longest running brand of any motor vehicle in the United States. It started near the turn of the century, and they still make vehicles today. They make trucks and service vehicles. Big round of applause. A fantastic running car from 1906, Norman and Audra Schwartz from Lafayette, California. Next up is our Class B Vintage 1925 to 1942. And this is car number 4, owned by Lynn James from Tracy, California, a 1933 Chevrolet coach. Word is on this coach, they have put very many miles on it, tens of thousands of miles on this restoration. It's not only a show car, but gets driven and gets used. Big round of applause for Lynn James from Tracy, California. Next up is Class C, American and European Classics Open. And this car is owned by the San Francisco Academy of Art. It is a 1933 Chrysler LeBaron Imperial Phaeton. And this car is part of the collection at the Academy of Art. They have a art design or car design program there, and the students can look at cars like this and others in the collection and draw inspiration. And I think if they're drawing inspiration from a car as beautiful as this, they're getting some pretty good designs coming out the other end. So big round of applause for the 1933 Chrysler Imperial LeBaron Phaeton. Next up is Class D, American and European Classics Closed. And this is car number 4, a 1941 Lincoln Continental Coupe of Ev and Gus Young from Carson City, Nevada. And Ev has said this was his dream car when he was a teenager back in the day, and finally recently acquired one, is having a great time with it, and we're glad to honor him and the car with it here today. Big round of applause for the 1941 Continental Coupe. Next up is Class E, Pierce Arrow. The winner is Scott Hensington from Salinas, California, and a 1920 Pierce Arrow Series 51 7-passenger touring. An absolutely beautiful car. This car was originally sold in Los Angeles, California. Is been redone cosmetically a couple times, but is all basically original underneath, and a very great car. Nice open car, fantastic. Thank you so much for bringing it. Next up is Class F Packard, an absolutely stunning car from Rod Hillardis from Visalia, California, a 1931 convertible Victoria. This car was originally sold new in Uruguay, so it has had a very, very storied history, an extraordinarily beautiful car, stunning restoration, stunning design. Thank you so much for bringing this car. Beautiful, beautiful car. Big round of applause. Next up is Class G, one of our special classes, a Cadillac tail fin era. And what is the iconic Cadillac with tail fins? It is the 1959 Cadillac Eldorado Baritz convertible from Larry Camoso and Kirk Wentland from San Jose. And this color is Persian sand. That is probably one of the prettiest colors ever to go on a Cadillac. It is absolutely beautiful. Big round of applause for a very, very special car. Next up is Class H, wood-bodied cars. And Eric Borg brought this from Oxnard, California. It is a 1930 Franklin 6 Cantrell station wagon. Interesting note on the Franklins, they are air-cooled cars. This is an inline engine, air-cooled. Fantastic, very robust engine, very robust car with a fairly rare body style on it, presented beautifully here today. Thank you. Very big round of applause. Thank you so much. Next up is our Class J, one of our special display classes of Volkswagen in the stock category. And this is a very, very interesting car. Mark Merrill brought this from Atherton, California. It is a 1953 Dannenauer Strauss Cabriolet. This is a custom coachwork VW. You don't hear that too often, but back in the day, custom coachworks workers did build bodies for VWs. At the time, a Porsche was 4,000 Deutschmarks. This was 8,000 Deutschmarks. So it was a very, very special car, very pricey and very beautiful, very rare. Thank you so much for bringing it. Next up in Volkswagen Modified is a 1958 Beetle from Lee and Nicole Bushaw from Roseville, California. What a great representation of a modified Volkswagen. Great look. Big meaty tires, nice wheels, excellent paint job, well done. Just shows what you can do with a Volkswagen from classy to racy. Thanks so much for bringing it. Very well shown. Class K, unrestored to 1954, is one of the more unique vehicles you're ever going to see. It is a 1926 Monotrace. This is a bodied motorcycle. It has outrigger wheels, it has a proprietary engine, and it is brought to us by John Munson from Elk Grove, California. Very unique, very rare, presented in largely unrestored condition and running and driving, and I'm glad he's driving it and not me, because that looks terrifying. Thanks so much for bringing it. Next up is Class L, unrestored, 1955 to 1973, and Ralph Lux from Fair Oaks, California, brings his 1969 Camaro. Beautiful car, outstanding. Thank you so much for bringing it. Next up is Class M, AMC, Nash, and Hudson to 1956. A very, very cool class up there in the shade with some beautifully designed cars. And winner of the class is Mary and Peter Steinert from Sacramento, California, with their 1956 Ambassador Sprint. Great color combination, outlandish design, beautiful car, something you don't see too often, and very well presented here. Thank you so much for bringing it. Big round of applause. Next up is Class M1 AMC Late. and it is a 1966 AMC Marlin from Bob McNewer from Oregon City, Oregon. Great design, a very unique style with this beautiful roof, derived almost directly from the Tarpon prototype car, made it to production with something that wasn't seen on the market at all, and well presented here today. Thanks so much for bringing it. Next up is Class N, American production, 1946 to 1954. And the winner is John Berg from Oroville, California, and his 1948 Willis Model CJ2 flat fender Jeep. Beautifully restored, outstanding vehicle, about one of the most rugged vehicles you're going to see on the field today. Thank you so much. Next up is Class O, American production, 1955 through 1961, and the winner is a 1956 Ford Victoria, owned by Paul and Sharon Cuff from Angels Camp, California. Beautiful car, stunning in black and white, with just about every option you'd ever want on the car. Stone guards, Continental kit, just an absolutely over-the-top car, beautifully done. And probably more chrome on the inside than on the outside, and that's hard to do. So thanks so much. Next up is Class P, American production, 1962 to 1965. And the winner is Robert Brown from Tracy and his 1963 Imperial convertible. Beautiful, beautiful car. This was the top of the line, its own brand at the time of Imperial, made by Chrysler. Just in any way that they could try to outdo the competition, they did, and the evidence is clear. They certainly did. Beautiful car, fantastic to drive down the road, like driving your living room, and gets about the same gas mileage. Yes. So, so thank you so much. Gorgeous car. Next up is Class P1, American production, 1966 to 1967. The winners are Larry and Linda Teenman from Forest Hill and their 1967 Chevy Camaro. This is an original owner car. They bought this car new, put about 25,000 miles on it in the very first year. It currently has about 190,000 miles on it, and they're still racking them up. And so that deserves a very big round of applause. That's what it's all about, is enjoying them and driving them. Thank you so much. Next up, Class P2, Chevrolet Corvair. And winner is Scott Mickelson from Sacramento, California, with his 1962 Corvair Monza wagon. Outstanding. Very unique design, something that Chevy did to kind of counter. We featured VW. They came in with the flat air-cooled 4. Chevy came out not long after with the flat air-cooled 6 and made a wide variety of cars with it. Even this great station wagon body design, very useful and a lot of fun to drive. Thank you so much. Next up is Class Q, American Muscle Car through 1968. The winner is Randy Lindholm from Shaver Lake with his 1966 Pontiac GTO convertible. Just about the quintessential idea of a muscle car with top-down cruising and be able to smoke the tires and a trunk you can put 12 of your friends in. Yeah. Next up is Class Q1, American Muscle Cars, 1969 to 1973, and nothing quite says American muscle car like a Hemi Cuda, and Ralph Murphy from Oakdale, California brought his 1971 Plymouth Hemi Cuda to take the win in this class. And in case there's any question, the badge on the side of the car does answer, yes, it does have a Hemi in it. And that was quite the thing to advertise when you were on the streets back in the day going from stoplight to stoplight. Thank you so much. Next up is Class Q2, Chevrolet Corvette. The winners are Larry and Suzel I'm going to mispronounce this, Jonenaber, and their 1962 Corvette in beautiful white with red interior. Just a fantastic combination, very well presented car, absolutely gorgeous. Thank you so much. Next up is Class R, post-war European, British, and Japanese through 1973. And an iconic car, the 1967 Sunbeam Tiger from Jeffrey Kaiser from Standard. Beautiful in British racing green with stripes and a potent V8 under the hood. Thank you so much. Next up is Class 1R, post-war German and Italian through 1973. Fred and Annette Huberty with their 1959 Porsche 356 Cabriolet from Penn Valley. Big round of applause. Now in Class 2R, Jaguar automobiles. The first in class is Charles Herrick from San Ramon, California, in his 1952 XK120 OTS. Absolutely stunning car, painted wire wheels, just like it would have been back in the day. A true sports car. Next up, Class R3 MG automobiles. Bruce and Cynthia's LA from Davis, California, and their 1958 MGA Roadster. Thank you so much. Next up, Class R4, Austin Healey automobiles. And Pete and Colleen Tortrice from Concord with their Austin Healey Sprite. One of the many cars I would not fit in. Very fun car to drive, very compact, very quick. Thank you so much for bringing it out. Class R5. Triumph automobiles. San Sendik from Sacramento, California, is 1968 Triumph TR250 with a Surrey top on it. This is a very neat addition that you could order, and predated the Porsche Targa, and was a fun way for some open top driving. Next up, Class R6 Morgan automobiles. Richard and Melanie Smith from Fremont, California, and their 1963 Morgan +4 Roadster.
Before we start this.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. Next up is Class S Ford Model A. And the winner is Edward Rodriguez from Auburn, California, in a 1931 Ford Model A sedan, town sedan. Sticking with Ford manufacturer, Class T is Ford Thunderbird. And Nick Vahorek from San Leandro, California, in a 1955 Ford Thunderbird presented in stunning yellow. Absolutely beautiful. Ford received a Ferrari from Enzo Ferrari, a great design car. He put it in the design studio and tasked the builders to come up with the American version of it, and out came the Thunderbird. A lot of the same design cues you can see from that car on the Thunderbird. Next up is Vintage Commercial up to 1973, and Bob Curry from Greenwood and his 1946 International pickup truck. When you look up in the dictionary the term agricultural, boy, there's a picture of an International pickup truck in it. Wait right there. Yeah, you got to make sure the brakes work. Thank you very much. Class V, vintage motorcycles. Jim and Marie Willett from Lodi, California, and a 1967 BMW R69 Sport. This is a fairly rare model from the more familiar R69S. This was a little bit less finicky of a motorcycle. The S was tweaked up kind of high. This was a better running and better performing motorcycle, and more rarely seen. Another very rare vehicle crossing the block here is a 1967 Di Tommaso Mangusta Greg Taylor from Burlingame, California, with very unique gull wing access to the rear of the car. Beautiful design, a little bit of engineering challenge to it though to get it running today, and well presented. Thank you so much for getting it bump started and getting it down here. Moving on to our specialty awards, and this one is presented by Haggerty, one of our sponsors here, and Haggerty representative Seth Owen gets to pick and present this award, and he picked the 1926 Monotrace Torpedo from John Munson at Elk Grove, California. Very unique vehicle, worthy of recognition many times over. So a very good pick from Haggerty. Thank you so much, Seth. A couple vehicles that couldn't be brought up across the stage but are still receiving their awards is Class W, Vintage Trailers and Campers. The winner is Barbara Cohn from Mariposa and her 1939 home-built teardrop. Fantastic display up on the field there, all done up with all the accoutrement, all the accessories. Outstanding. Thank you so much for bringing that. And even a period correct uniform and a 48 star flag to go with the date of the trailer. Your award here, outstanding presentation all the way around. Big round of applause. And a vehicle that definitely couldn't make it up across here is Class Z, the stationary engines and tractors, and the winner is Michael Verna from Orangevale, California, and his 1935 Elarak Minogue Model E. Outstanding. If you get a chance, go down and check those out. Very cool to hear them chugging along, and thank you for bringing that to us.
Thank you very much.
Next up is the FFA Award, presented to Mark Merrill and his 1953 Volkswagen Romesh four-door taxi. Now this Romesh was a coach builder. They took VW pans, stretched them 7 inches, flipped the doors around, made suicide doors on the back, and decided to make these taxis for service in Germany. About 30 of them were made. give or take. There's about 2 of them in America. There's rumors of a third, but we know we can verify 2, and one of them was here today. Absolutely one of the rarest vehicles you're going to see here. Big round of applause for bringing this out from a very well-known VW collector. Next up is the 4-H Award. And Larry Ayers from Vallejo, California, and his 1930 Morgan Superhero comes up. This is a race car, and from what I've been told, this car holds the record at Brooklands Racetrack. Is that correct? And will not be broken because you can't race at Brooklands anymore. So it holds a record there that will never be broken. A presentation of the 4-H Award for the fantastic vehicle. Big round of applause. Next one of our special awards is in honor of a dear friend of ours, Martin Swig, who has since passed on, but had a great passion for cars, driving them, racing them, and friends of his all here have picked the Singleton collection and their 1914 Mercer 35J runabout from Costa Mesa, California. A new collection, great owners. They drove this car yesterday on the tour with some challenges, but that's what it's all about, and that's what Martin would have liked, the grit to get out there and drive a car like this on the road. Thank you so much. Thank you for bringing it. A very special car and well-deserved. The next special award is the Ironstone Sponsors Award, and this goes to the Reno National Auto Museum's 1933 Cadillac 452C Fleetwood all-weather Phaeton. Beautiful car. If you get a chance, do visit the National Auto Museum up in Reno. It is a gorgeous collection, a very good museum, and excellent docents, excellent cars. Thank you so much for bringing it down. Next up is the Ironstone Foundation Award, and it goes to Scott Henningson from Salinas and his 1920 Pierce Arrow Aries 51 7-passenger touring car. Thank you so much. Big round of applause. A class that I love to see is the best unrestored car. They say it's only original once. Anybody can tear a car down and restore it and paint it over and over again, but to keep a car original and keep it running and keep it going is a task of love. And the award goes to Bob Jacobson from Los Altos, California, and his 1922 Stutz 4-passenger Speedster. Excellent car, beautiful patina on the car, and the best part about it is if you get a scratch in it, you can say, oh, that's been there since 1932. Yeah. We're moving into the final awards and our most elegant awards. The first one is Most Elegant Closed Car from Michael Grieva from Greenfield in his 1939 Packard 1707 V12 Club Sedan. In 1939, it didn't get much better than this. You had reached the top if you had a car like this. And you certainly made a scene when you arrived. Thank you so much for bringing out this beautiful, beautiful car. Big round of applause. The next up is Most Elegant Open Car. And this is from the Academy of Art University in San Francisco, the 1933 Imperial LeBaron. Beautiful, beautiful car, well deserved for Most Elegant in the open category. Thank you so much for bringing it. And once again, thank you all for coming. Give yourselves a great big round of applause for coming, enjoying the day, enjoying some beautiful cars. And it all culminates with the 2024 Ironstone Best of Show, which goes to Rob Hilardas from Visalia, California, and the 840 Waterhouse Victoria Coupe. Beautiful car. Just an absolute statement car. This is the crown jewel of any collection anywhere in the world, and he brought it here today, and this is our Best of Show winner. A huge round of applause. Thank you so much, Rob. The outstanding car. If I could drive anyone home today, boy, it would be this. And I think he's going to enjoy driving it home. Well, thank you so much for coming. Once again, I'd like to thank the owners, the sponsors, our volunteers. You really make the show. You make it come alive. So thank you so much for coming, and we'll see you next year.